Acting legend Robert Redford has died at the age of 89. According to a statement, Redford passed away at his home at Sundance in the mountains of Utah, surrounded by his loved ones. Here to talk about his legacy and connections to Colorado is MSU Denver professor of film and media studies, Vincent Piturro. We're glad to have you here. The last time you were here, we were talking about Sundance. So, a sad day to be talking about its founder. Let's start. We'll talk about the connections to Colorado, but what an immense, iconic superstar and beautiful human from everything you hear. Talk about his legacy first.
Well, exactly. The word you used was iconic. And there are so many movie stars. We could talk about movie stars throughout the history of movies, but there are few that transcend the idea of being a movie star and become iconic. He became a legendary figure while he was alive and will continue to be a legendary figure long after he's gone. He started out as an actor, but then he moved into directing as well. Some fantastic movies, we can talk about those. As a director, he was a political activist. He is one of the few people, perhaps in the history of the world, who can bring us a movie about politics and people will still enjoy it. He was a political activist as well. And then, of course, he started the Sundance Institute in 1981, which we talked about not too long ago. People know the Sundance Institute mostly from the Sundance Film Festival, but it's so much more than that, and it encompasses so much more. He was really interested in getting stories out into the world that wouldn't get out otherwise, and he used his star power to do that.
And he cared so much about, filmmakers and giving them an opportunity to showcase their work that they wouldn't have avenues to do that. Talk about, his advocacy and wanting to build other stars in front of and behind the camera.
Yeah, well, so he started the Sundance Institute in 1981. And initially, the Sundance Film Festival was very small and focused on films from the West, independent films, and stories that we don't hear very often. Now, it's come to be known as something more. It's a big star event. In fact, one of the reasons why it's moving out of Utah into Boulder is because it got so big that it sort of outgrew its spot in Utah. But that's exactly right. He was interested in promoting stories that wouldn't be told otherwise. And he started doing that long before he started the Sundance Institute and the Sundance Film Festival. He started doing films in the 70s, for example. One of the great films he was in was called Jeremiah Johnson, where he showed he told a story of a white man living in the wilderness, but it was really a story about Native Americans, a story that we didn't really hear, certainly not in the 70s, and still don't hear a lot about today. So he's so far ahead of his time in so many ways.
And one of the things he loved about Utah in that space was he wanted to merge these worlds, right? Of like Hollywood and the glamour, but also connect with nature. And he'll be able, let's talk about, I guess, his legacy. And he won't be there, which is so sad to think when it finally comes to Boulder in our backyard. He will not be there for that, but I'm sure he's very proud of what will happen next with his legacy in Sundance Film Festival.
Well, he has an interesting connection to Boulder. He went to the University of Boulder for a short time. Now, some people may have heard that he went to the University of Boulder and may think he was a star student, he was in theater and so on, but he really didn't spend much time at the University of Colorado at Boulder because he wasn't much of a student and wasn't interested, and he actually had to leave school because of too much drinking during college.
Really?
Yeah. So he never actually graduated from there, but that spurred him on to kind of find out what he really wanted to do. Then he went into acting, immediately became a star in New York on the stage, moved on to film very quickly, and then became the Hollywood star that we know of him. But he never lost his roots to the West. He lived in Utah. And that's what spurred him to start the Sundance Institute in 1981 and merge Hollywood with the West, and which it's so sort of fitting in so many ways because maybe his most famous film, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, is a Western. And so it merges the two things that he loved so much, it's movies in the West.
His legacy will live on. We'll be able to watch him in his iconic roles, but also, you know, I think Colorado and Boulder has a special role in carrying his legacy forward as we will take on the Sundance Film Festival starting in 2027. Professor, thank you for being with us. We
Thank you.
appreciate you.